there's one thing I know about society on the internet, is that it loves the misfortune of others, especially humorous fails and injuries. Now let me just say that it isn't always nice to laugh when someone gets hurt. They could be in serious pain. It's much better to feel sympathetic towards them. However, when pain isn't treated as a laughingstock, people also seem to be intrigued by it and how it happened. So, I've decided to talk about some of the worst injuries I've ever received in my life. The first story is from when I still lived in America. I'm not entirely sure how old I was, but it was before my brother Jakin was born, because we hadn't baby-proofed the stairs to our basement yet. For the sake of this video, I'm going to say that I was about 5. So my mom had one of her friends come over and they were busy talking to each other. It was during the evening, which meant everything I would normally watch on TV back then was over. So I wanted to go down into the basement to play, because that's where all our toys were kept. Now for some context, the staircase to the basement of the house we lived in was pretty tall and had a floor made of what I can only assume was granite at the bottom. Well, whatever it was made of, you definitely don't want to land on it at a high speed. Foreshadowing. So I was busy going down the stairs, wearing socks might I add, and not 2 or 3 stairs down when I slipped and rolled down those stairs so quickly that I didn't even feel it until I got to the bottom. I landed back first onto the granite floor, and all I could remember about that moment was just feeling all the pain from rolling down the stairs, with the added pain of landing on a hard surface, and just crying my eyes out. My parents and my mom's friend heard me and came rushing down the stairs. Now I know that falling down the stairs isn't the most unique way of getting seriously injured, and granted, I recovered overnight, but I still think it's worth talking about. Also, this isn't the only instance of a stair-related injury in this video, and the next one is much worse. Fast forward to around 2012 or so, and this one happened during a blackout that started as we were finishing dinner. Now let me just say from experience, if you can't see where you're going, don't go anywhere. Now when the blackout started, my dad went to get the lanterns. When he left, I wanted to go with him, so I got up and started feeling my way around the table. Of course, not being able to see, something bad is bound to happen. Sure enough, I tripped on something and my chin slammed onto the backrest of one of the dining room chairs. My dad was not happy with this. We ended up having to go to the hospital and getting stitches in my chin. I'm not sure if that incident scarred me, but I did end up getting what feels like a scar on my chin that usually gets covered up with stubble, or what's left of it. This last one is more serious, and also the most recent. In fact, it actually happened last year. So my mom and I went to get our eyes tested and our glasses replaced. Yes, I wear glasses. There's nothing wrong with that. When we left the glasses store, the escalator back up to the car wasn't working, so that meant we had to walk up it like stairs. Now, I wear flip-flops almost everywhere I go. Normally, that's not a big deal, but this time, for whatever reason, just as I got to the top of the escalator, one of my flip-flops got caught in something. I tripped, and my knee stabbed right to the edge of the step. The escalator left a deep, gaping wound in my knee. It swelled up and I bled everywhere. My mom actually thought she saw a bone in there. I couldn't even bend my leg, it was that bad. And let me just say the first aiders who arrived were very unprofessional. They carried me out to our car in a wheelchair, but they did very little about the wound. They just wrapped it up in bandages, which they frequently dropped onto the dirty road of a parking lot. I did not put my trust in them. Fortunately, one of my mom's friends knew a doctor who worked at a nearby shopping mall, and managed to get to him just before his quote-unquote hospital closed down. And despite working out of a shopping mall, he was actually a professional doctor. He disinfected the wound, gave it a tetanus vaccination, and used bandages that weren't dropped on the road of a parking lot. It took about 3 months for me to recover. I still have the scar on my knee to this day, so if you ever meet me in public, now you know how I got it. I've also since been more careful when using escalators. Now, I could probably talk about how hard my life was while my knee was recovering, but I don't think it'll be very interesting for you guys. So yeah, morals of the story: don't wear socks when you're going down the stairs, don't move during a blackout, and be careful when wearing slops on an escalator, because if you don't, you're going to wind up in a wheelchair with 2 incompetent first aiders attempting and failing to do something good.